Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to the Indo-Canadian Business Chamber Maharashtra Regional Council webinar series. So this is a very exciting new initiative by the Maharashtra Regional Council Chairperson, Mr. Apurva Mehta, who will be soon, talking to you. All of us know that these are very challenging times and social distancing has become the new norm. But the human spirit is resilient and finds a way out to stay connected with people who matter. And for the chamber, people, this is the biggest P in any PPP because it is through people that we meet, and that is how relationships grow, business grows, economies grow, and countries come closer. So while we have been having webinars, with the government, with business, but we set, or rather, it came as an initiative from Apurva that we must continue with our networking platforms and getting people to people together. And this is the first of its kind. MRC used to have its breakfast at the bar. So we decided that, okay, so breakfast at the bar, it can be high tea. And therefore, the time has changed, but the spirit is the same. So we are still going ahead with this series, and very happy to have the MRC board with us, to have all of you with us joining in. Just for information, and before I hand it over to MRC, just wanted to say that we have 5 regional councils: the Maharashtra Regional Council, the North India Regional Council, Bangalore Regional Council, Gujarat, and the East and Northeast. And after Apurva's great initiative, we are going to be doing this in the other regional councils as well. So, after every few days, we'll probably connect people from all the regions. So very happy to welcome Mr. Jatin Lodaya, who will now, I think Mr. Rontu Basu will be introducing him, or Mr. Apurva Mehta, but I just wanted to say a welcome from my side. He's a CA turned photographer, something totally after my own heart. I'm not good with numbers, and I love photography. So you're in for a great visual treat, and of course to all that he is going to say. So Mr. Apurva Mehta, Chairperson of the Maharashtra Regional Council, and we have the team with us also. Devrat Bhatia, who is the Executive Coordinator, and Olinda, who is the Executive there. And Apurva, thank you for this great initiative. Welcome to you, and please take this forward from here. Have a great, great session.
Thank you very much, Nadira, and thanks to everybody, Shivani, Dev, for putting this up together. And a very special thanks to Nadira and the team of how quickly, how dynamically the whole chamber under your leadership has evolved, and we are doing this connects to our members and our guests through this webinar series. The speed at which you turned around this whole ship and meeting the needs of the members, that is very, very remarkable, and certainly very exemplary of how the chamber is evolving and adapting. So thank you very much for that as well. I hope everybody is keeping safe. This is all very unprecedented, and everybody is doing the best they can to manage the situation for themselves and for their families. I want to thank all the MRC board members who are here with us, and we have been discussing deliberately how to take forward some of our initiatives, and will continue to do so. And our members can also, of course, write in, call in, and share any suggestions, any comments that they have, anything that they would like us to do more. We'd absolutely love to fulfill all of that. Ditto also with our national board members, and some of whom you're here. So with that, I'll quickly move to introduce our guest speaker, Jatin Lodaya. And this Jatin comes in back to back. Another guest speaker that we had yesterday, another eminent personality we had yesterday, Mr. MP Suresh Prabhu, who spoke yesterday in a session along with the Ontario minister. And back to back, which also means that we have 2 chartered accountants speaking to us, which is, of course, all very good. Jatin, as Nadira briefly mentioned, is a chartered accountant, career banker turned photographer, the kind of swap that bankers do, but people don't do as often as a lot of us think we should do in our real life. So he has swapped his pinstripe suits for the photographer's jacket, which is of course very inspirational for all of us. Jatin has been in the photographer and especially the travel photography area for the past 8 or 9 years now. He has done number of expeditions, one very uniquely with officers of the Indian Navy. He took them to from Mumbai to Ladakh and back, photographing on the way. So that those are the kind of things that Jatin does, along with, of course, Cityscapes. And as I mentioned, he's a chartered accountant, many years of experience with Big Four in India and in the US, also working with number of MNC organizations in leadership financial roles. But now he is, of course, going to lead us for the next hour or so to the amazing world of photography, sharing with us virtually cityscapes of downtown Mumbai. We can't be there right now physically, so Jatin is going to take us through that journey for us. Over to you, Jatin.
Okay, thanks, Apurva. And yeah, you're right. We can't move due to lockdown, and this is the new approach we need to go about. Let me start sharing my screen. Okay, so when I think Apurva called up a couple of days back, and we thought of what should be the theme, and one of the quick suggestion what I had was showing cityscapes. Bombay is an international city, and there's enough to see in the city. So while we were talking on names, we were debating it's Mumbai, Bombay. So this is what best I could think of Bombay through the eyes of a Mumbaikar. All along my life, I've lived out here, and the transition from Bombay to Mumbai has happened. So as we mentioned, the situation where we are in complete lockdown, social distancing is the norm, and we all need to continue to stay safe. So I thought it's appropriate to welcome you to this virtual sightseeing approach as one of the perks of working from home. Like any other good beginnings in India, I would also prefer that we do with a small pranam to Ganesha. And the most famous when we talk of Mumbai is Lal Bagh Cha Raja. This is the image I made last year at the time of Visarjan of Lal Bagh Cha Raja. To many who may not know, the Visarjan actually happens of this particular idol next morning, early morning around 7:38. But the entire procession begins the earlier evening. What I'm going to do is I'll be taking you through a journey of images, and I've numbered purposely them on the right corner of the screen. You will see a number in red. And the whole intent is so that in case anybody has a question later on to a particular image, we don't need to jump around the images without knowing where we are. And I'm going to use a laser pointer to show any particular things of importance or significance during my talk. So I'll be talking less actually and showing more. So since we are on the subject of Mumbai, obviously it helps to take a step back and refer to what is Bombay actually. And today's day has a lot of significance, which I will share in few seconds. But Bombay to many is a city. To people who have lived in this country for many decades, it's a state or a presidency. And to people who follow the history of the city very closely, Bombay was one of the 7 islands. Not the island, but it was one of the 7 islands which Bombay constituted. So as you can see on the screen on the left side, the H-shaped island is what was Bombay. What today we call all this collectively as Bombay, as you can see on the screen on the right, Bombay has grown way beyond 7 islands now. So just to give a perspective of what these 7 islands could in today's term be, I've drawn this red imaginary line. This is where Bombay ended few decades back. And all along here, what you see a collective mass was these 7 different islands. Just to give a perspective how in 1710 Bombay looked like, so this is more a pictorial, but this is the actual map. So don't try to read, it's not as, but to give a perspective, this is the Bombay Island, the H-shaped. This part are the 2 part of the Kolaba. This is Mazgaon. This is Parel, which ends at Sion Fort. This is Sion Fort where the entire Bombay city ended. This is Mahim, Worli. And this little plot is what was Bandra, or what is Bandra today. So the whole perspective was just to give you a graphical way of knowing what Bombay is all about. We are not going to sit here for a history lesson. We are going to see Bombay. But before I do that, the story little bit to continue. The entire 7 islands were owned by the Portuguese. And the history changed in 1661 when the British and the Portuguese came together for a wedding of Charles II with Catherine of Braganza, where these 7 islands were given as a dowry to the Britishers. And that's how the Portuguese moved out and gave away the land, which they were not using. They never thought it will serve any purpose. So imagine about 500 years back, Mumbai or Bombay sort of had no purpose, and see where we are today. Before I move on, and since this whole program has been initiated as part of the Indo-Canadian Chamber of Commerce, I thought it appropriate to show some connect between Bombay as a city and Canada as a country. So I picked up 2 examples, and I would give full credit of this, both the examples knowledge to Bharat Goskar of Khaki Tours, with whom I usually venture around in the cities to explore the nooks and corners and do my photography. So Mumbai is a city of dreams for many, and this is a view one can have at Bandra waterfront. And as the story goes, there are 2 parts of story. The name Bombay is actually derived from Bombaya, which meant the good bay. And this was a name given by Portuguese, and the way English called Bombaya as Bombay, it was sort of a derived name. In 1995, to pay tribute to goddess Mumba Devi, the name from Bombay became Mumbai. So just as a small trivia on the name change and when it happened. Even though the name was Bombay, somewhere in the mid-80s, the decision was taken to put the first time a name board in English, calling it as Mumbai. And this name placard, all of you from the image can know where it is. It's near Gateway of India. So though the name was Bombay, and in Gujarati and Marathi and Hindi, it was always known as Mumbai. But in English, it was never named as Mumbai or never spelt as Mumbai, but for this name plaque. So as I mentioned, I wanted to show the 2 touch points of Canada and Bombay. Between India and Canada, there are many more touch points, but I just restrict myself to Mumbai. So this is a super design, the Italian design building on the DN Road, which was at that time known as Sun Life Assurance Company of Canada. So the life insurance company operating in India with an office open in 1892. Eventually, when the entire nationalization of insurance companies happened in India, this company was sold off or bundled up together to Life Insurance Corporation, which resides today in these same premises. Having said, the name of the building still is etched onto the construction of the structure. Sun Life Assurance Company of Canada. Beautiful architecture. And below this line, there's a stained glass with the same name etched on it. And somebody wants to know where this building is today. It's right diagonally opposite Badri Mahal, which is the Bohra community's main center, or the Fort House. Actually, this building is bang opposite Fort House on DN Road. And the another connection for Fort House with this community is the Canadian consulate at one stage used to be in this building. Later on, DBS came, and now the entire Tata group occupies all the floors. The second connection I want to share is of Bombay Ice House, which was here in 1843. And the story behind is, and before I get into the story, pictorially, this is where I'm pointing the laser point to the white domed building. Between this pillared structure and this white block was the Bombay Ice House. Today doesn't exist. I'll show you what has come in place of that. But this was created in 1843 to store ice, which was being imported from the US and Canada. In India, nobody had seen ice until the import started. The building next to it had taken multiple avatars, and I'll quickly share what are those, what this church is about, and what this clock tower looks to be. So what has replaced the Bombay Ice House was K.R. Kama Oriental Institute. So the ice house was taken off, brought down somewhere in the 1916 or 1920s. And after that, K.R. Kama took over the place. So that's the immediate building. The next to it, the porch building, which we saw in the picture, today is known as the Great Western Building. In 1890, it used to be a hotel by the name Great Western Hotel. And the entire porch was taken away to widen the roads. Prior to this, it had two different avatars. One was the Admiralty House in the 18th century, and later on it was the Bombay High Court, or the Chief Court of Bombay. Today it's a place for retail shops, high-end retail shops, A&D and being one of them. This is the church which was formed in 1815, the Church of St. Andrew. Opposite side was the government dockyard of that time. And where I'm going to point the laser beam just below the clock tower, this used to be the main entrance to the dockyard. You can see a faint line today in the image. This was cemented, and Lion Gate much further down, if you walk, is what is now the entry point. Now it's no more just a government dockyard, it's actually naval dockyard. This is an extension of it. Since we are in that area, I thought it appropriate to share the memorial which has been created by using the scrap from INS Vikrant, the naval ship which served India in 1961 to 1997 and played a key role in the Pakistan War in 1971. Since we are talking of 1961, let me take you further back to 1960. Very much today's day, 1st May 1960, exactly 60 years ago. So today we are actually celebrating Maharashtra Day's Diamond Jubilee also. So it's an excellent coincidence we are talking of Bombay today, and the whole movement of Sanyukta Maharashtra, or the United Maharashtra, started. The state of Maharashtra was formed, getting separated from Gujarat. Now, people who are wondering of what do you mean by Maharashtra state was formed and what actually happened, let me show you a picture which will tell you what it was at some stage. So if you look at the 1956 map, this is what was known as Bombay, all the way here. What today we call a small dot actually was all the way here, touching Hyderabad, Mysore, and into Gujarat and Rajasthan. So this was 1956, and what we see today is the whole entire transition. So the significance of Maharashtra Day, and we cannot ignore this place, the Martyr Square or Hutatma Chowk. This is a landscape view of the entire structure where if you stand here, you can see the Hutatma Chowk. the Martyr Square, the Flora Fountain, a bit of a glimpse of St. Thomas Cathedral out here, where my laser pointer is, Reserve Bank of India, Zara's one of the largest store, the stock exchange, and many more historical buildings. If we move close to them, especially to Martyr Square, every day close to 105 plus people gave their lives in the fight. And on this particular pedestal where the entire Maharashtra outline has been put through a green lawn, the names of all those people who got killed are etched out here. And this is the Hutatma Chowk or the Martyr Square. If not for lockdown, a lot of celebrations could have happened today at this place, especially being Diamond Jubilee. So this is how the square looks like. The best view of this square, if somebody wants to do, is walk into Zara on the last floor and get a view from up there. It's a beautiful view. Moving further, we get into the Flora Fountain area. Now, what you are seeing today, Flora Fountain, this particular structure, once stood a gate. There used to be 3 gates to the city of Bombay, and Bombay was a fortified center. This was a church gate. Apollo Gate was somewhere behind near Lion Gate, and Bazaar Gate, which today also we call Bazaar Gate opposite ZPO. There's no gate. So if you have to visualize what the gate would look like, this is what it was. It's not my image. I never existed then. This gate was crashed, taken out in 1860. This is the gate. This is the church, St. Thomas Cathedral, hence the name Church Gate of the first station of the Western Railways. Just going back, this is where the church is. The church completed 302 years this year. And this is what Flora Fountain looks today after it has been restored in its full glory. All the water pipelines are working and it's working very well. Some close-ups of the fountain. Ideally, do visit them and see. But since we are in a lockdown, let me show you what they look like. Here, the name of the sculpture is also given. It's actually etched on the one of the. And when the Flora Fountain started, restarted, I would say, and back, I happened to be there, and that's when these images were taken. And these were the tram tracks, which you can find them today also. So as a sampler, they have reinstalled these tram tracks next to the Flora Fountain, which is out here. When somebody enters Mumbai city, this is what the first view could be of the Mumbai harbor. This is early morning image around 8 o'clock, where you can see the Taj Mahal Hotel Palace, the Taj Mahal, Gateway of India, the Department of Atomic Energy building, which used to be the Royal Bombay Yacht Club, and the Taj Wellington Mews on the left, the serviced apartments. If you're coming back in the evening, the sun shines on the gateway, and this is the view you would get to see. Just to give you a perspective of a couple of different views of the same structure, I'm showcasing multiple images. This is early morning around 6:30 when the sunrise is happening. The glow is coming from behind. Just from a historical perspective and the trivia on Gateway, in 1911, when King George V and Queen Mary came from UK to India as the first British monarch, they were going to be crowned in New Delhi Darbar as the King and Queen of India. So this gate technically was made for that, but the gate actually was done in 1924, whereas they came in 1911. So in their memory, this entire structure was made, and earlier structure was different when they actually arrived. This is a view I've taken at about 2 o'clock in the night. The water is still, there are no waves, and the entire gateway was glowing beautifully. All the area behind the gateway is all under naval. This is an interesting plaque. Most Mumbaikars or most people would miss. Once you get off near gateway, walk towards the right, and you will see this plaque which says that in 1915 on 9th of Jan, this is the exact place where Mahatma Gandhi landed when he came to India. Yeah, it's a small plaque, but most people tend to miss it. Next time when you're there, I would recommend visiting it. This is a reflection of the glowing Taj Mahal Palace. No tripods are allowed in this area, and to take this image, I had to keep my camera on top of the car, my own car, and that's how, just to get the reflection. It's a beautiful place to go in the night to see this view. As you keep walking on the Colaba Causeway and keep looking the various nooks and corners, you will keep seeing Taj Mahal Palace. But the reality is this was one of the main entrances of the hotel till things got restructured. So actually people used to go from here. This was the real lane rather than coming from Gateway. Now in the Gateway area, when you're there, you can't miss this building. This was once known as the Royal Bombay Yacht Club, which has moved to the opposite building. And it was created in 1846 when the area was known as Wellington Pier, what we loosely call as Gateway of India area today. The structure was supposed to be demolished and a new structure, I don't know, office or residences was going to come somewhere in 1979 when, and that gave rise to the heritage conservation. People wanted to ensure that that doesn't happen. And they preserved it, and today it has been taken over by the Department of Atomic Energy, DAE. Since we are on the Taj Hotel, I thought to show one more view which you can see from Colaba if you go on top of Nariman House. This is a view of CSMT, and there are different names of which I'll soon come to, on India's Republic Day. So in tricolor, the entire VT station was lit. This is during daytime. I've taken an image of the place which between 1853 and 1878 was known as Boribandar. The first train in 1853 from Boribandar to Thane started. That's how the train journey on GIPR, Great Indian Peninsula Railway, started. Later on, in 1888, the VT station was made at the same premises. 96, the name got changed to CST. And in 17, the name, the Maharaja, got added to Chhatrapati Shivaji. So the CSMT came into play. Next to VT station or CSMT is the GPO, a replica of Gol Gumbaj is visible on the screen. And these are the staircase if you want to walk all the way till the top of the Gol Gumbaj. It must be close to 5 to 7 stories, but the steps they are so well laid out that you can keep walking up and down without huffing and puffing. Opposite GPO, you see this light man. Today it's a sculpture, but I mean, few decades back, this was a reality. When Bombay Gas used to provide gas to the city, and the gas lamps had to be lit manually. So such lightmen were employed who would go around with a stick and keep lighting these lamps. Today it's just a sculpture. And on the right, this particular block of rock, brick you will find in one of the lanes of Lal Bagh. The lane is known as Gas Company Lane. And this is its office today behind Sterling, the Bombay Gas Company. Though today we don't use gas for lighting now, so the entire piping facility which was made across the city is being used for internet cables now. We saw Flora Fountain, and Bombay has many fountains, and soon they are all getting restored. So I thought of sharing one more beautiful fountain known as Ratan C. Mulji Memorial. It was made in 1894 in honor of his son, who at the age of 15 died. And his son used to love reading books, and that's the reason on top of the fountain memorial you can see one small boy reading book. When we talk of Bombay, obviously this market, which was formed in 1868, Arthur Crawford Municipal Market, which we all loosely call as just Crawford Market, in its all glory. The Watson's Hotel, which a lot of controversies were there in its structure, and should it be there, should it not be there? Right now it's full in black colored scaffolding, so I can't show you that structure, which is on the dark side in the image where the laser pointer is. But just as a mention, this is the west side store just next to it. This is the Kalagoda area. And that brings us to Kalagoda. This is the Kalagoda of current times, the new structure which has been come up slightly off the place where the original was there. So I'm calling it as Kalagoda 2, and the reason is because this is the Kalagoda 1. This was the original Kalagoda which was there, and now this statue in 1960 was taken to Baudaji Lad Museum. It's still there. And this shop behind, what you can see where I'm pointing the laser, was the Rhythm House. Now again, no more there. And this is the building where Khyber restaurant is. I'm sure most of us will be famous with this brand, what I'm showing on the screen. You need to read the other way, it's Starbucks. Starbucks came about 7, 8 years back, and became so famous, little realizing that the landmark which stood already there for 300 years will be known as the church opposite Starbucks, rather than Starbucks being known as the shop opposite St. Thomas Cathedral. So St. Thomas Cathedral completed 300 years 2 years ago, so it's 302 years now. And in the image, obviously, you'll see a lot of vintage vehicles. If you go on Sunday morning, this is the site you will see a lot of vintage and classic cars. Owners come there and park their cars and have a cup of coffee in Starbucks, and then go all the way till Chembur for a drive and go back to their respective homes. So if anybody is crazy about classic and vintage cars, this is the place to go. Few examples of images of the St. Thomas Cathedral. So when it celebrated 300 years, some of us were allowed to go right on top, which is not otherwise permissible. So when I also went, these are few images what I'm going to share with you. This is the inside of St. Thomas Cathedral. Beautiful glass work, stained glass. If you've never been inside, worth going, don't miss it. Now the chalk, which is near Horniman Circle, just outside Chroma store, has been renamed as St. Thomas Cathedral Chalk. Very, very recent. So the entire buildings, what you see, they are all Horniman Circle building, which was earlier known as Elphinstone Circle, and before that known as Bombay Greens. My aim is not to show the car out here, but want to show the structure, the Elphinstone building out here. And next to it is a white building known as Brady House. Brady House was where the Times of India editor used to sit to edit the newspaper. And the red building out here, which today reads as Mumbai Samachar, used to be the Times of India Press. Mumbai Samachar, by the way, is the oldest surviving newspaper in Asia today. It will soon complete 200 years in, I think, 2 years. Gregson, Bentley, and King, they were the architects for what is State Bank of India main branch on Horniman Circle. So this one brick is where their name has been etched. So I thought it was quite interesting to know that 100 years have passed for this building, and we can actually still read the name of the architects who did it. The Jewish synagogue in the lane from the erstwhile Rhythm House. It's beautifully restored, worth going. In the next lane is this Armenian church, which was founded in 1796. It's in a small lane, and the only image I can show you is this one. I was fortunate when I was there, it was open, so I was allowed to go in. When you come on the other side of Horniman Circle, you see this amazing long building known as Asiatic Society, built in 1804, or the State Central Library, or the Town Hall. Three names are there. And behind this majestic building, which today you will find a lot of youngsters sitting on the steps, purely taking their images, or wedding shoots happening, which tall skyscraper is there behind, which is the Reserve Bank of India. Till the Reserve Bank was made at this plot, there used to be a water body out here, a water pond. And that pond was purely to cool the motors which were used, the engines which were used in the mint to make money. So once it became automated, they never needed the water supply. So the place was given to RBI. Evening view, a sunset view happening at Horniman Circle. It took various names: Bombay Green, Elphinstone Circle. Today also, most of the buildings have a name etched on them, Elphinstone Circle. Talking of water fountains, let me share one of them, which is often missed by most people. It's known as the Wellington Fountain. We call it commonly as Regal Circle Parking Area. Yes, there are a lot of cars parked around it, but it's a full-fledged working fountain. It's worth going inside the parking lot. Opposite the Wellington Fountain is the Maharashtra Police Headquarters, which once used to be the Royal Alfred Sailors' Home. And that's why you can see the pothole, the pot-shaped windows, as they are in the ships, not rectangular ones. As you move towards the right, you come across the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Vastu Sangrahalaya, or what it used to be known as the Prince of Wales Museum. It got completed in 1914 during the World War I, but because of World War, it got used as a hospital till the World War ended, and it again it rather got shape of a museum only in 1922. When you walk inside the museum, in the gardens, you will see these cannons. This is a Baudali Large Museum. I just wanted to give you a glimpse of Bombay. Mumbai has very good museums. As you start moving outside of the fort area and towards Marine Drive, you come across two majestic buildings, the Express Towers, Air India building. Express Towers was an address at one point of time, very beautifully made. It's an engineering marvel, the way structure has been done. And they all got the view of Marine Drive and the ocean. It was the address people wanted till this giant white structure was built next to it. Stories say that there was some issue or some political connection why these two buildings came up. We never know. Rajavai Tower, often seen, cannot be missed from anywhere you keep moving in the city, in the fort area. Purposely, I've split the image into four such that you can see different parts of the image. It's a working clock. It still rings the gongs, the bells. There are 24 statues on the top of the Rajabai Tower depicting different tribes of Bombay Presidency at one stage. The funding of the Rajabai Tower was substantially done by Premchand Roychand on one condition, that the tower will be named after his mother, and that's what happened. A couple of images of Rajabai Tower from different vantage points, with the stock exchange in the backdrop from a different height. It gives a different view. This is from St. Thomas Cathedral. You can see SBI headquarters also, regional headquarters. This entire is Nariman Point. These are the gongs of St. Thomas Cathedral. 1838, they were all made in London and still they work. You cannot go up, but at the time of 300-year celebration, we were allowed to go up. skipping fast now. This is a view of the High Court and Rajabai Tower through the Oval Maidan. This image I made during the rainy season. That's where the lush green. Once upon a time, a residence of Ratan Tata, the Tata Palace, occupied by Deutsche Bank. The first cricket match between India and England happened at these grounds, what today we refer as Bombay Gymkhana. Obviously, we are in the financial capital of the city, so we can't ignore Bombay Stock Exchange. And this is the image I made from St. Thomas Cathedral, where you can see the gigantic tower, Peer Boy, Gigi Boy Tower, and the Rotunda, which is where the trading ring used to be. And as many of you may know, the Bombay Stock Exchange, first ever stock exchange of Asia, was established in 1875 under a banyan tree near Horniman Circle. So this image, though I'm not saying this was the same banyan tree, but I'm just depicting it. And wonderfully through the light was so beautiful, it gives an Indian flag symbolizing with this orange, white, and green. So let me just show you a glimpse of this rotunda, which is where the trading ring used to be. It has now become an international convention center. It's a beautiful place to go if you get a chance to visit inside. Different view from up. This is a Nariman house. It was obviously known as Chabad House. A Nariman house is the place of the Jewish, which was attacked during the 26/11. Now it's a tourist center. You can visit it. This is the image I made when I visited there. So the terrace. This is the actual building, now known as Nariman Lighthouse. It's the only place where all the people who got killed during the 26/11 attack, their names are there. Sasun Dock, the place where locals, Mumbaikar, go for buying their fish. So now I'm trying to move out of the city and taking you away from and moving into suburbs and ending the station. It's Gandhiji's room in Mani Bhavan. August Kranti Maidan, where the 1942 Quit India movement started. A view of the Queen's Necklace, Chopati from Malabar Hill. Ban Ganga. And this is where the water keeps flowing and then it goes out into the lake. The Parsi Gate, where Parsis come to pray on their particular day of the year. It's on Marine Drive. Prince's Triumph Arch. This, when Prince of Wales visited India, this arch was created for him in 1905, just outside Mahalakshmi Temple or Babulnath. A view of Haji Ali. So now we are getting off the city, and what you can see out here is the Worli Island. You're leaving. So this is what connected the Worli Island to the mainland, the Hornby Velad. This is a view from the other side after you cross the Velad, and you can see Haji Ali. And this is the Dargah, Mahajini Dargah, a close-up view of the Dargah, which was made in 1908. And we enter the suburbs of Bandra using the sea link. And once you have entered, and I end my presentation out here, giving you a glimpse that Mumbai is a city, like some of the few international cities, which is a river inside the city. There's a full-fledged Methi River, though we cannot see, but this image I made from BKC. So thank you very much. I end my presentation here and give back to the moderator, Apurva, to take the proceedings ahead.
Sure, thank you, Jatin. This was fascinating, and of course, all of us even more wish the lockdown ends as soon as possible, so that we can go back to all these sites which we thought were familiar, but now look at them with a new perspective that you have opened up for us. And certainly we will do that as soon as the opportunity presents to us. So thank you again. We do have some comments coming in onto the chat, but also some people might like to have some questions, and Shivani can. I think we have time for maybe 2 or 3 questions, and Shivani can open up the mics for those who want to do so by raising their hands or some other way, Shivani. We have comments coming in from different parts of the world. We have Jatin Chuck Chakrabarti from Toronto saying hello to you. He's a Mumbaikar, and he found this very interesting. Chuck, if you want to speak up, do so. And if you have any questions for Jatin, like you put into your chat.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Chuck, go ahead.
Oh, hi. Okay. Good morning and good evening to all of you, sir.
Good morning to you.
Yeah. Good morning. Yeah, Jatin Sahab, I skipped my breakfast to share this 1 hour with all of you at MRC, Maharashtra Regional Council, and of course, your presentation. It was very nice because I've lived the first half of my life, and there are a lot of things, like you went into history, the Portuguese, which honestly I was not aware of, because we are 3 generations in Mumbai. So my father and all came much earlier. It was very nice. It was very interesting and very like a lot of education for us. Now, just one point, Jatin, you haven't gone into the western suburbs. You haven't touched the water, like Chowpatty, the Juhu side. If you could, also speak on that. Thanks.
Sure. So I think that the Apurva gives me more time, I will do that. But yeah, on a serious note, and that's the reason I showed the Bombay map right at the beginning, where it's made of 7 islands. And Bombay has grown beyond. Yes. So we actually need to draw a line somewhere and learn stage by stage, because getting all stuff together, it's nice for me, I can do it, but to digest also is interesting experience. So right now the focus was on as Apurva used the word downtown Bombay, the main central business district, which is the Bombay Island. And I tried to keep the focus there, though I couldn't stop myself. That's why I brought the sea link also and got you into Bandra. And that's where I stopped now. I see one comment which says that can we go beyond to Dahisar and Mulund also.
I see.
Yeah, someday we will.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we are privileged that you had to sacrifice your breakfast for us.
No. It's a pleasure, Jatin.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Are you hearing me, Jatin?
Very clearly.
Okay. All of us. I would be coming. I would love to meet you if you are also in Mumbai at that time. Probably just waiting for the COVID to close by. Sure. And then, we could have a coffee somewhere.
Sure.
And also, just by the way, unofficially, Suresh Prabhu was senior to me in college. He's also a fellow chartered accountant like me. Yes. And I know him very well because I lived in the Khar area. And then, Suresh ji joined the Shiv Sena. And then after that, he ultimately got a commerce ministryship. But, and then, he was with Khar Gymkhana, and I was also with Khar Gymkhana. I still know the building in which Suresh lived, Chitrakoot, on the 16th road. At Khar. I do not know Jatin Bhai, Apurva ji, where you all stay, but that's the area where I have been living there for the last 30, 40 years, with my father, late father. So it's just a coincidence that, Suresh ji's also his profile has been shown on your website. I do not know where he is now. Is he in Mumbai or where is he now?
Well, we can
discuss about
share his whereabouts with you.
Sorry.
Offline. Sure, no, we can do that. But thanks for joining, and thanks for
Yeah.
joining from right across the world, across the globe, from Toronto. Chat. Thank you for that. And please stay in touch with Jatin. I'm sure
Thank you.
you know,
Yeah.
the time that you would get to spend with him will not be enough with all the
Yeah, I know.
knowledge
Yes.
and all the images that he has.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else has a question? Anyone from our MRC board? We are usually not shy of speaking up. So Kashmira, Sandeep, any comments? Imran, of course. Any comments? Anything?
So Apurva, may I?
Please.
So thanks. This was really so fascinating. I can't tell you. I know our friend from Canada said that he actually delayed his breakfast. I think I'm going to delay my husband having dinner because I've stopped cooking. And this was really great. I didn't think it would be so interesting. I'm from the city, but I didn't know it was so fascinating. So Jatin, thank you for that, and Apurva, thank you for organizing this.
Okay.
If you permit me some time, I couldn't help but bring out a Tata connection for almost every second photograph that you put on the screen. So I was really fascinated quite a bit by that. Of course, starting with the Gateway of India, which you showed for 1911. But I'm sure all of you know that before the Gateway of India came up, the Taj Mahal Hotel was built by our founder in 1903.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, the Taj Hotel was part of the skyline of the city even before the Gateway of India came up.
Right.
So there are a lot of these little snippets and stories, and I thought I'll share one or two of them. You spoke about the Zara building, which I think is really beautifully done up and restored by the Tata Group. And Zara's has been brought to the country again by Trent. The Spanish company Inditex and Trent have a joint venture over there. The Mahatma Gandhi, and you showed that little plaque of when he landed on the 9th of January. And I don't know how many of you know, but this whole Mahatma Gandhi story of South Africa was actually funded by Sir Ratan Tata, the son of the founder, where he first sent a check of 25,000 years ago, and then he funded it to the tune of about 1,25,000. There's so many of these little stories where, the Tata story is so closely embedded into the city story. And I couldn't help but think of everything because you put up one snap after another, which so beautifully brought this up. You showed us the Watson Hotel next to the Army Navy building. The Army Navy building is the West Side store, which is owned by the Tata Group, the store and the building. And it was restored some years ago. That's also a heritage building. And the Watson Hotel, and the legend goes that our founder, Mr. Jamshedji Tata, was denied entry into the Watson Hotel. And that's when he made up his mind to give the country the best 5-star hotel. And he did. The hotel still stands as a testimony to the spirit and the philosophy of the founder. And, I can go on and on. Starbucks has been brought to the country by the Tata Group. One little trivia, which is really interesting. You spoke about the St. Thomas Cathedral, and it's really famous and it's really beautiful. For those who haven't visited it, it's a must-see even from inside. That's actually managed by the Cathedral and John Cannon School. And both Mr. J.R.D. Tata and Mr. Ratan Tata at one time were alumni of the school. And of course, the Prince of Wales Museum has a lot of artifacts which have been donated by the Tata Group. And the Prince of Wales Museum have actually dedicated 2 large rooms. And they have named them, I think, the Sir Dorab Tata and Ratan Tata rooms. And Air India building, everybody knows we were the pioneers, the Tata Group were pioneers for aviation in the country. And the Air India building actually was the headquarters of what was started as Tata Airlines. Of course, it came up much later. Rajabai Tower you showed us, and it was built by Roychand Premchand. And in those days, Roychand Premchand was amongst the 4 people who were considered as really icons of the city. One was Roychand Premchand, second was Jamshedji Tata, the founder, David Sassoon, and Jamshedji Jijiboy. So these were called the 4 icons of the city in those days. And the Rajabai Tower was later on restored sometime in 2015 by Tata Consultancy Services. I can go on, but I'm going to stop here. I just found it very interesting and I wanted to share this.
Quite a passion-filled value add you have done, Kashmira.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to add, in the sense, when I'm quickly reading the comments, obviously there are, especially Vivek, he's adding a lot of value add in terms of what about these things. Of course, I think the intent was to showcase certain portion of Bombay in a certain predefined timeline, which Apur was good enough to extend from 20 to 30 minutes. So one is I can just keep showcasing images and keep rushing, and one is add some bit of trivia also. So I'm sure if opportunities again come across to meet, we will surely add the bridges, the Ballard piers, the Gothic buildings, and a lot of other stuff can be added. A lot of stories of each bank's insurance companies. But what I want to end here saying, the aim was not to talk on the history. The aim was a photographer presenting the city. I'll need to wear a historian's cap and probably take external help if I need to fulfill those objectives also. But I think the initiative, what I think ICBC has taken, is a brilliant one to showcase what all is there in our own city to explore whenever the lockdown opens up. I'm sure this small window of learning would have given enough food for thought that let the lockdown get over and this is what I wish to do. So as I mentioned at the beginning, what I do is I go around with the Khaki Tours team. They're quite informative when they take us around the city. They split the entire city in various corners, especially the Bombay island part. So that's what I enjoy. I love history, but I'm not a historian.
Jatin, how did you get into this? What was the passion that drove you to this?
I think each of us have a third thing, what I refer. We all have family, we all have work, and we always need some third thing in our life. So photography was my third thing. And whenever I used to get chance, especially on weekends, and for me working in a bank, my weekends were only Sundays, was just to take my camera and keep walking in the cities. Especially after 9/11 and 26/11, carrying a camera in a city became dangerous. No tripods are allowed even till date. But whenever cops ask me, I do show them what I'm doing. I do go around with groups, I go on my own. But finally, all of us need some passion to take us out of our comfort zones. And eventually, I transition myself saying that enough of corporate world. This is something I would love to take my interest and passion way further and start using images, what I call as capturing moments and making them into memories. Like today is one example where 60, 70 people are sitting together and going through the images, and each of us have different memories attached to it. So photography is something like music, gets people together. And I like teaching also. So I'm into soft skills, I'm into financial literacy, I'm into photography training. So I've just changed gears and moved in a different direction now. Thank you for asking.
Thanks, Jatin. Thanks. Very, very, certainly very informative and enjoyable, but also very inspiring to see somebody who can take that third element of one's life into, make it into such a passionate journey. And we can see obviously the results are there, speaking for themselves, or demonstrated in your images. So thanks again. And I know that you have not in Mumbai, we haven't even touched the Art Deco part of the city that you and I have spoken about, connected on Facebook, on all of that. And beyond Mumbai, all your travel pictures, your pictures of Himalayas, your excursion into exotic places like Laos and Myanmar that you have done, driving into those countries and all those images. So I think we can keep you busy for the next year or two doing webinars with you. But I know you also have other commitments, and I know a number of us on this call also have other commitments. So I'm going to thank you again profusely and hand you over to Rontu to wrap this up. Thank you. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Apurva.
Thank you, Apurva. Jatin, it was fascinating. Thank you for sharing your story. You are quite a storyteller plus a photographer. It was great to know that you and me crossed paths in Standard Chartered, though we didn't meet at that point in time. I'm glad we did it today. And now that we've just heard that the lockdown has been extended by 2 weeks, I think the walkabout, which I'm sort of Would be fascinated to go on post your talk. Unfortunately, I have phone for another 2 weeks. But thank you all the same. And I'm just, it was also fascinating that you brought
I think we lost Rontu frozen in time. So that's the image that we are going to carry of him in our minds. No, I think thanks again. And thanks again, of course, also to Shivani, Dev, Olinda, all of whom have organized this. So thanks, Jatin. I think Shivani, we can wrap this up.